What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to give you guys a very quick update about Tesla SPY and the overall market. As you can tell, Tesla likes to reject off this blue trend line, acting as a resistance. And we're going to see if Tesla could break this to turn bullish or not. It's going to be very key for how we end up moving if we get a rejection or not off this level. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 25 in total. And deposit $5,000, you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. The offer ends at the end of July. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, as far as the market's going, I just want to say that right now, when we look at Tesla, we're getting rejections off this blue trend line over and over again. And in order for us to remain bullish, you need to see us essentially break past this resistance right here, try to get back above this 330 area to start breaking out higher. But I believe there's going to be a big test on Tesla to retest this blue trend line, and we'll see if we break through this or not, or if we get another move back down off a rejection. I'll be watching that very closely. Elon Musk is saying that Tesla's robotaxi service will tentatively kick off on June 22nd, which is good news for Tesla, but simultaneously, you want to just be careful because the date is subjected to change due to the fact that Tesla is being super paranoid about safety. They're doing this for a very good reason. It's completely understandable, so keep that in mind. That's what's going on for Tesla, at least thus far. Now, when it comes to other pieces of news, we just got the PPI data. This was all aligned with expectations or below expectations. PPI for all items month over month was at 0.1% aligned with expectations. Core PPI month over month was at 0.1% aligned with expectations. If not, not too bad, if anything. Core year over year was at 3%. That's aligned with expectations, if not a little bit lower. And then for all items, it did go up just a little bit on a year over year basis to 2.6%, but not too bad. It's still technically aligned with the consensus. So, decent data overall. We did see a slight increase in the PPI overall. But for the most part, the data was in line with expectations, which is why the market's bouncing to some extent. Now, other pieces of news, I didn't see anything else that was too crazy as we're seeing the trade negotiations between the US and China spurring some optimism for the markets. Sentiment is still quite bullish as a result. The good news is that the negotiations have gone quite well, and the rare earth materials and minerals they are subjected to different tariffs now, and that is some good news. However, at the same time, we have our Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, saying that the 90-day pause in reciprocal tariffs could be extended for the 18 of the U.S.'s most important trading partners. That is another good piece of news. Oracle just had earnings, and we actually have Adobe after market close. And finally, greed is making up the majority of sentiments. Right now, momentum is at fear. It's becoming less fearful than before, and we'll have to see how things end up going. Oracle did well with its earnings, by the way, and overall, the market still has some greed. So, with that being said, what do I think is going to happen? We're expecting a big test on a Tesla stock. I anticipate we're going to try to push upon open trade to retest this blue trend line. If we break 326, we're looking for 330. And if we can't break 326, if we kind of hit this blue trend line and reject, we could turn back down to the lows and retest around that 315 area. So that's going to be very key for how we end up moving. So keep that in mind. For SPY, I am anticipating a small push to the upside, especially as we have this gap to fill. So we could be looking for a retest of 601 or so. However, you want to be very careful because as we're bouncing, keep in mind we have this rising wedge right over here. So what's going to likely happen is that we might be retesting the wedge. We might be coming back up to where this wedge is, back up to like 601, 602. We have to break this to get back up to these highs. And if we can't break past 602, we could turn back down lower to get back down to 592. It's going to be a very big test on SPY. Do expect us to try to push higher for 602. 601.5 to 602. We'll see if we break past it to continue to go higher. If we can't, if we reject off the wedge, we could turn back down like this. So watch your levels just to be safe. Same thing with the QQQ. We're going to be looking for an attempt for basically 532 right over here. Can we hold above this wedge and get back into it to push back up to the highs? Or do we reject near 532 and turn back down? I'll be watching that very closely, so keep that in mind. On the IWM, we're looking for another retest of essentially 213. We'll see if we break through this or not. If not, we could turn back down. So watch and see if we break 213 to push for 215. On ES, we're still technically holding support near the 50 EMA, so it's technically still bullish. But I want to see how well we could bounce here. Can we push back up to 6,050 to be bullish? Or do we reject and lose 59.90 to start dumping lower? If you lose 59.90, you're looking for a dump back down. If you end up breaking higher, you're looking for 6,040. So we'll see if we end up rejecting off this or not. But for the time being, just look for the upside move when we open. We might try to push a little bit higher, trying to get back up to like 6,025 or above. And then we'll see if we reject off that or not. So keep that in mind. For others out there, we also happen to have NQ trying to bounce here. We could be looking for an attempt for 21,900 to 22,000. We'll see if we break 22,000 to be bullish. If we come short of 22,000, we could kind of turn here and turn back down to 21,733. For Bitcoin, we're looking pretty good. We're going to see if we could hold 107,000. If not, we could be dipping lower. So watch to see if we bounce. If not, we're watching 107,000. If that fails us, we're dipping back down to 105,000. So please keep that in mind. For Tesla, we're going to be looking to see if we bounce here. So watch to see what happens once we hit this blue trend line acting as our resistance. So look for a bounce. We'll see if we break through this. If not, we could kind of like turn back down. So that's going to be very key for how we end up moving. For Nvidia, we're making lower highs here. We have a bearish divergence. We could be retesting essentially this 142.5 area, and we'll see if Nvidia breaks that to go for 144. If not, we could kind of push here, and if we make a lower high, we could turn back down to 139. So be prepared in case we do get a rejection. On Apple, I do anticipate a retest of our EMAs near 201. We have to break that to continue to go higher. If we reject, we could still turn back down to fill that gap. So be careful, guys, and look for a big test on Apple as well. On AMD, the same thing is going on. We're trying to hold the 120 area. We're going to see if we could hold this. We might be looking for a small rebound to about 122, and we'll see if we reject off a lower high. ARM, same thing. We're going to be looking for an attempt to push towards 140, and we'll see if we reject or not off that. PayPal might be coming up to fill this gap near 74, and we'll see if we reject. So 74.4 to 75 could be tested, and we'll see how it ends up reacting. So please keep that in mind as time goes on. For Coinbase, we have support down here. We're going to be looking for a retest of essentially 251. We need to break this to continue to go higher. And if we reject it, we could turn back down towards 244. So look for a small bounce, and we'll have to see how it goes from here. We have 213.5 to 215 as our potential zone to be tested on Amazon, and we'll see if we reject off this or not. So be careful once we get a bounce. Meta may also retest around 695 or so. Might see a small rebound here. We need to hold above 700 to remain bullish. If we come short, we could turn back down to the lows, so keep that in mind. For Google, we could also be retesting essentially this 180 area, maybe a little bit below that. And then we'll see if we reject off this to turn back down to 176. So look for a small bounce and rejection as time goes on. Microsoft, however, remains more bullish. We're seeing a lot of buyers stepping in, so we're looking for 478 as our potential target. The VIX gapped up, and now we're going to be coming down to fill this gap. So I do think the market pushes a little bit upon open, but the question is, can we sustain these levels? Look for an attempt to get to 330 on Tesla, and we'll see if you reject or not. So please keep that in mind. Get ready for some upside right here, and we'll see if you reject and turn back down or not. So keep that in mind. Thank you for listening, guys. Please have a good rest of your day, and peace out.